Uh, am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. We'll start with the operations or operators. We'll not give much time on this because it is same in all the languages. Like plus is for addition, minus is for subtraction, asterisk is to multiply, double asterisk is to raise to, double asterisk is to raise to. Just giving space in between. Double asterisk is for raise to, or for power. Divide, floor divide, rarely used. Floor divide means if I am dividing any value, let's say by 9 by 2, it comes as 4.5, but it will make it as 4.0 or 4. So this is called as a floor divide. 9 by 2 will come as a 4. Even if you do in a floating point, even if you write 9.0 divided by 2.0, it will still come as 4.0. It will be rounded near 0. So it is 4.5. So it will be rounded near to 0. If I take a negative number, let's say minus 11 divided by 3, the answer comes to around, let's say, minus 3 point something, 3.75. It will be rounded now to minus 4, rounded to minus 4, away from 0, rounded away from 0 in case of negative numbers. So this is called as a floor divide. You can just Google out more for understanding floor divide. It is just rounding towards the towards the 0 over here. For positive number, round towards 0. For positive number, and away from 0 for negative number. Okay, then go to modulus. It gives a remainder. This is less than sign. This is greater than sign. less than equal to, greater than equal to. These things are common in all the programming language. Check whether it is equal to, check whether it is not equal to, then going to boolean, not, and, or, and so on. So these are the different operators that are possible. It is same across any language that you have studied so far. Let's keep like this only. Okay. Let's take example over here. A is equal to 7, B is equal to 8. Let's take one by one example. A equal to 7, B equal to 8. A is equal to 6. Is A equal to 6? No, A is equal to 7. Since A is not equal to 6, it will print as false. Second, A equal to 7. Yes, A is equal to 7, so it will be true. A equal to 6 and B equal to 7. Is A equal to 6? No, false. B equal to 7? No, false. So false and false will be false. A equal to 7? True. B equal to 7? False. Since B is equal to 8, it is false. True and false will be false. Not of A equal to 7. A is equal to 7 is true. Not of true will be false. B equal to 7 is again false. False and false will become false. Going to sixth one, A is equal to 7 or B equal to 7. A equal to 7 is true. B equal to 7 is false. True or false will be true. A equal to 7 or B equal to 8. A equal to 7 true. B equal to 8 true. True or true is equal to true. Then A equal to 7 true. B equal to 8 true. True and true will be true. Not of true will be false. Then A equal to 7 is true. Not of true is false. B equal to 8 is true. False and true will be false. So this is just a boolean that you must have studied during your engineering or uh, bachelor of science or master of science. The same thing, true and false. If any doubts, you can ask me. Go to the condition statement, if and else. Start with if else. Conditional statements. Make it as a markdown. Run it so that it looks good. If else. First thing is else is optional. Indentation is important because on basis of indentation, that is white spaces, it will determine what is inside if and what is outside if. So let's take this example. A is equal to 2. If A is greater than equal to 3, and take a note of white space over here, you have to keep the white space. If A is greater than equal to 3, 2 is not greater than equal to 3, so it will not go over here. It will go into else if. If A is greater than equal to 21, again it is not true because A is just 2. So it will go into else and it will print as else. So it is printing as else. The next example, testing for element in the list. The list is Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai. If Mumbai in list, print found Mumbai. So if I execute this, it will say found Mumbai. If I want to do else, I can also write else. So I can execute like this also. We have to write a colon. This the colon. So it is saying that if Mumbai in list, found Mumbai. Let's say the Mumbai was not in list. Let's say instead of Mumbai, Bombay was there, the old name. So it will say did not find Mumbai, and so on. So what we want to explain from this example is else is optional. No need to write else everywhere. Again, if and else is same in every programming language. Any doubt, you can stop me in middle. While execute until statement, execute until conditional statement is true. So it will execute until the conditional statement is true. Let's take an example of while. We are starting with n equal to 0, while n is less than equal to 5, 0 is less than equal to 5, so it will go inside it and print value of n is equal to 0, then increment by 1. So 1 is less than equal to 5, again it will go, 2 is less than equal to 5, it will again go 3, 4, 5, so it will go from 0 to 5 inside it, and finally it will go outside and say end of while loop. So it will say value of n is 0, then increment by 1, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and finally it will be end of while loop. Any doubts you can ask me. Go to for statement. Again, for statement is similar to other programming languages, but have to note the way how the things are specified. For I in range 1, 10, 3. So what does it mean is it will start from 1. So value of the I will start from 1, highlighted over here. It will start from 1. It will increment by 3. So whatever is specified over here, it will increment by that value. So it is increased by 3, and it will go until 10. So it is less than 10. So I will start from 1. It will increase by 3 until it is less than 10. So how it will be? It will go inside this till first the I value will be 1. So it will print 1. Then I value will be increasing by 3, that is 1 plus 3 will become 4. It will go inside it and print 4. Again it will increment by 3, 4 plus 3 will be 7. So it will go inside the for loop and print 7. Then finally it will go till 10. Since 10 is not less than 10, so it will not be printed. So only 1, 4 and 7 will be printed. 10 will not be printed. Let's see. So it is 1, 4, 7 is printed, and finally it comes out and says that for loop is over. 10 is not printed because it is going till 10. It should be less than 10. Any doubts you can ask the question. It's similar to C, the value, the only difference is the way in which we are specifying the values. The syntax is different, everything is same. Okay, next thing, numbers 4, 1 and 2. Can you see this bracket? If this bracket is a square bracket. Square bracket means it is a list. So there is a list 4, 1, 2. It is a collection of the integer value. 4, 1 and 2 are the integer value. We are initializing the sum as 0. So what it will do is, looking at the code for num in numbers, that is all these things, it will become sum plus num, that is it sum value is 0. So it will come over here. First step it will do is, step 1 it will do is 0 plus the first number equal to 4. So sum value will become 4. Again it will come over here. Step 2 it will do is 4 plus the second number 1. 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Step 3 it will do is 5 plus 2 is equal to 7. So all the numbers are over, so you will finally get the result as 7. Let us execute if we get 7. Okay, the result is printed as 7. Okay. Then there is one more list the same way, 4, 1, 2. Over here, if you'd see that the value of the list is increased. So 4 will become 4 plus 2. So the output will become as shown over here. The value of the list is 4, comma 1, comma 2. On adding 2, since I am adding 2, the list will become like this. 4 plus 2 is 6. Then 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. So 2 will be added to 4, 2 will be added to this, 2 will be added to this. So the final value, final list will be 6, 3, 4. Let us see. Okay, so the final output is 6, 3 and 4. Okay. The same example, do only if I is less than equal to 3. The same example itself, adding 2, but only add if I is less than equal to 3. Only add if I is less than equal to 3. So 4 is not less than equal to 3. So we'll not be adding it. Since 4 is not less than equal to 3, we'll not add anything. So the 1 is less than equal to 3, so 1 plus 2 will be 3. And 2 is again less than 3, so 2 plus 2 will be 4. Let us see if the same output comes. So the output is same, 3 and 4. So only difference from the previous example is this will only add if I is less than equal to 3. Okay, break statement. So what the break will do is it will stop the looping, end the looping even if condition is true. It will just stop the looping. Take this example, the same example as we did before. For I in range 1, 10, 3. What do I understand from it? I will start from 1. I will increment till 3. It will go until it is less than 10. So we need to understand this. I will start from 1, increment by 3, will go until it is less than 10. So first thing, what is the value of I? I is equal to 1. So it will go inside this 1. As soon as it will print 1 and it will get a break statement. So it will not be printing 3, 4 and 7. Let us try to execute. So since it gets a break statement, it will not print 4 and 7. It will also not print this. It will just exit from here. So this is called as a break statement to stop the looping forcefully. Okay, any doubts until now? Okay, since no doubts, we'll go ahead. Now we have below things that we need to cover. Functions, it will take around 15 minutes. Modules, around 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. File open, close, or file handling, reading from a file, read, comma, write from file into file. It will take around 20 minutes. Then exception handling will take around 20 minutes. So do you want me to continue today or maybe continue for more 20 minutes or half an hour and complete this or do in the next class? How do you want me to do? Do? Muni, Vignesh, yeah.
Mm, I think we can continue for the 20 15 minutes and later we can continue.
Okay. Muni, can we continue for functions and modules? This part? Because both the parts are related.
Yeah. Actually, here I have a small doubt where if you go up, there is a some number add you have explained to us, right? Little
This
bit
one?
upper part.
83 number?
After for loop. One second.
Which one? 80, 81, which number?
No, number I'm just waiting.
This the for loop?
For loop.
Okay,
There
which
is a
one?
numbers list of numbers, and you have number plus.
This one?
I'll tell you 1 second. Yeah, that one.
Okay,
Number 81.
okay,
Here my doubt is there is no num is defined anywhere.
okay. It is because as we say that we don't have to define the data types in Python. Okay, whenever the value comes into it, it will automatically assign a data type. So since the num is coming from inside this numbers, which is all integers, it will auto assign the num as integer. Okay, let's do this way. So let's execute this. And what we'll do is we will also print the type of sum, or print type of num. So once we execute this, we can see that the num is automatically assigned as integer. So whenever these numbers are coming, the value of num is coming from this numbers, which is a list. So this 4, 1 and 2, all the things are integer. So as soon as the first number comes into it, let's say 4 comes into it, it will assign the data type integer to it automatically. So the data type for num is automatically assigned for num because we never specified data type in a Python. Let's say if I do it as 4 comma 1.2, so it should fail. No, it's still passing because it is getting a true value. So anything that is coming, it is taking as a true. That's it. Any value that is coming. So whatever is the value is getting assigned. Let's say I write 4.2 in the first. So it will assign a floating, it should assign a, it should be assigning a float value. Okay. So depending on what is the value that is getting assigned, 4.2, 1.5, 2.1. So if I am specifying a floating point value in the list, it assigns a value float to it. So no need to define any data type, it will auto assign. Is it clear?
Yeah, I am clear. Just I found a doubt out.
Okay.
Sum plus W equal to num. So that I was doubt. Now I am clear.
Okay, okay. Moreover, you can also specify it as a sum is equal to sum plus num. You can also specify this way. Sum is equal to sum plus num.
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Let's go ahead to functions.
If you feel to continue, you can continue.
Okay.
Next class. No worries.
So we'll complete this function and module today. Then the next thing, because we already started very late today. Function, it is a reusable piece of software. So if I want to use the same piece of code again and again, I will define it in a function instead of writing it again and again in a code. It accepts list of arguments and also returns. So you can pass the argument, you can get the argument written. The function is defined by a keyword def, define keyword to define function. Scope of the variable is local in function. What do I mean by all these things? We will see later as we do the examples. Okay. First of all, to define a function, there is something called as a def. So you have to define a function def, followed by a function name. Cannot have a space in between. Cannot have a space in between. However, if you want to separate the words, so you can define a camel case in between. So you can keep it as a H capital. So print hello. So I am having a function print hello. So what it is doing is doing nothing but printing hello world. So my program will start from here. Just call this function print hello, and this function will do nothing but print the word hello world. Let's see how. Okay, so it prints a word hello world. Okay, take a next example. Find the max. So what I'm doing is, this is an example to find a maximum or greater number between two. Find maximum of two numbers. So define max. Def is to define a function. A and B are the arguments that it will take. Again, the data types is not defined. Like if you consider a different programming language, C, C++, Java, wherein you need to define a data type, in Python you need not define a data type. So what it will do is it will auto take the data type during the execution depending on the value that it is receiving. So define find max A comma B. If A is greater than B, it will print A is maximum. Else if A is equal to B, it will print A is equal to B. Else it will print B is maximum. So these two values will be coming. So we are passing, when we are invoking a function, we are passing two different values, 7 and 7. So whenever we invoke 7 and 7, 7 will go to A, 7, this 7 will go to B, A is greater than B will be false. A is equal to B, 7 is equal to 7 will be true, and it will print A is equal to B. Let's see. So it prints 7 is equal to 7. Let us change the value 7 and 9. So it will be, what is the maximum? It should say B, that is 9 is maximum. So let us invoke it. So define the function. 7 and 9 is passed as an argument in A and B. Is 7 greater than 9? No. Is 7 equal to 9? No. Else it will say that 9 is maximum. Any doubts? You can ask question. Okay. Next example. The same way we are defining a function, def is used to define a function. In the bracket, you can see that there are some arguments that are being passed, a, b, and c. If you see, the value of b is equal to 7 and value of c is equal to 88. If I write 7 and 88 over here, that means that argument is no more a mandatory one. Even if you don't pass, it will take a default value as 7 and 88. So if I don't pass the value of b, it will take the value as 7. If I take the if I pass the value of b, it will take the value whatever it is passed. But if I don't pass the value of b, it will take it as 7. So I'm defining a function a comma b comma c. B default value is 7 and c value is 88. So when I invoke this function func 3 comma 2, a will be assigned the value as 3, b will be assigned a value as 2. Since we are not passing the value of c, c will assume as 88. Let's try. A is 3, B is 2 that was passed, and since we did not pass the value of C, it takes the value of C as 88. Okay, next example, we are passing 25 to A, B we are not passing, and C we are passing 24. So A we are passing 25, B it is taking a default value as 7, C it is taking a value whatever is passed, that is 24. And the third example, C is 50 and A is 100. We are not passing the value of B. So A goes as 100, whatever we have passed. B we have not passed, so it takes a default value as 7. C we have passed 50, so it takes whatever value we have passed, that is 50. Any doubts you can ask me? Okay, okay. Next example, you can see DEF. DEF is to define a function. SAY is the function name. Say is a function name. These are the arguments that are passed. This is of argument 1 and second argument. Second argument, if it is not passed, it will take the value as 1. What this function will do is simply print this string the number of times. That is, if I write 1, so it will print it 1 time. If I pass times as 2, it will print it as 2 times. Let's see the example. Let's say we are passing say welcome. So welcome is a value for string. We are not passing times. Since we are not passing the times, it takes the times as 1 and prints only 1 time. Let's take second example wherein we are passing Python and the value we are passing for times is 3. So since we are passing the value 3, it becomes Python, it becomes 3, and we print the Python 3 times. So this is the output, Python is printed 3 times. Okay, going to the next example of function. Okay, so DEF is to define a function. The name of the function we have kept it as func. The argument that we are passing is x. Okay, so argument we are passing is x. What does this function do is, this function will print start of function, It will print the value of x whatever is passed. Then it will change the value of x to 3 and say that the change the local x to 3, and it will say end of function. That's what this function do. Let's try to understand the flow of this program. If you don't understand this flow, you just ask me. First thing is the program will start from here. What is the value of x over here? X value is equal to 7. So what I am doing over here, step 1 is x is equal to 7. Step 2, step 2 is over here. What we are doing is call function pass value of x as 7. So once I call the function, my program will go over here. So what it will do is third step, function func is invoked and value of x is 7. Step number 4, print this line. It will just print that start of function. So you can see that it is printed start of the function. This is a step number 4. Then it will print the value of x. So print, it will print that x is the value of x that was passed was what? 7. Can you see the 7 over here? So it will say value of x is 7. Then it will come over here. So it will say 6. X value is now changed to 3. Then it will go over here. Step number 7. Now it will print that changed local x to, we have changed the local x to 3. Then print end of function. So it will print end of function and it will go out. So where it will reach? It will reach over here. And step number 9 will be, step number 9 will be print x is still, it will print 7. Though the value of x was changed to 3 over here in step number 7, in step number 7 or step number 6, the value of x was already changed to 3, but it will still print that value of x is 7. Reason being, the x variable that is used over here, the scope of the variable in a function is local. So even if I change the value of x to something else over here, it will not be reflected outside unless I return the value of x. I'm not returning anything. So the scope of the variable in a function is local. That means even if I change the value of a variable in a function, it will not be reflecting in the program. Okay, is there any doubt in this? Very important concept in any of the programming languages. The scope of a variable is local in a function. If you are having any doubts, you can stop me and ask me. Okay, since no doubt we'll go to modules. Function, if I am defining, used in same program. But if I am using a module, it can be used in other programs also. If I want to use a module, I have to use import statement. If I want to use a module, I have to use a import statement. Module is nothing but a program and defined with py statement. Py extension. Module is program with .py extension. So these are the things that you need to know. in details you will understand as we do the code. Take the example. So function is used in a same program, module can be used in a different program. For using a module, import statement is required. Import statement is required to use module. Third thing, module is a program with .py extension. Okay, math is a module that is pre-supplied by Python. We have not written a code for math. Math comes pre-supplied by the Python installation only. So since I want to use this import, if I want to use this module, if I want to use it, I have to use import. Okay, first thing we are saying that module is similar to the function. Only thing is module can be used in different programs. If I want to use a module, I have to use a import statement as highlighted over here. Let's take an example. X is equal to -5. ABS of X means absolute value of X, that is -5 will become +5. This is the normal function that comes with Python. I can also use, there is one more absolute function that comes inside this module math. So if I want to use math absolute, so I will write math.fabs x. So what it will do is it will find the absolute value. So -5 will again become +5. Similarly, if I want to find the factorial, the function inside a module is math.factorial, and I will supply the +5 value. So what it will do is factorial value will be calculated. How do you calculate factorial is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, it will come as 120. So this is how the factorial is calculated: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So it is how the 120 is coming. So what we learned from this example is how to import a module. To import a module, it is import is the syntax that will be required. And if I want to use a module function, it will be module name math dot factorial. Okay. There is another module sys that comes from a Python installation. Sys is a module that is used to manipulate runtime environment variables. So it is used to manipulate the runtime environment variables. Let's see how it works. System path by default will be some path. What I'm doing is I'm appending the system path to also include this link. Let's execute. So if I see, the system path will be this path, and once I append something, I can also see that this is the one more system path that has been added because I am appending something. So sys is also a very important module that is used to change the runtime environment variables. So sys is a important. Okay. Then last two examples for the end of day. Over here, what we are doing is we will be using the module that is coded by us. So to import something, we know that statement is import. So we have to give the module name from April 14 module import star. Import star means import everything that is present in this module. Okay, so we are importing everything from this module. Let's say before looking into example, before looking into the code for this module, let's see this example. What it says is enter a non-negative number. Let's say I enter 5. So what it does is it finds the factorial of 5, that is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, and what it does is it makes it as 120. Let us see the code of this module, April 14 module. Okay, I have this April 14 module over here. Okay, so we saw that what this program does is, it just calls this function factorial, and factorial is defined inside this module over here. So this is how the module is defined. The name of the program should be .py. We can see .py over here. So what it does is define factorial. We are just defining a function like we do every time. Define a factorial that takes a number as an argument. It takes the initialize the value of product as 1. For I in range number, product is equal to product into I plus 1. That is what it will do is 1 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. And once it is done, once this for loop is executed, what it will do is it will return the product. So once you enter a non-negative number, it says that input a non-negative number, you insert input 5. It takes that 5, convert it into an integer, passes to a function factorial. Factorial function is in this module. It takes that 5, multiplies it by 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, returns the product 120 back, and it comes over here and it prints the factorial n. Okay, so the only difference between the function and module is, in function you will write the same code in the same program and you can use it only in that program. But in case of module, you will write the same code but in a different separate program, and you can use it from any programs. So you have sometime requirement wherein you need to do some date related calculation, time related calculation that is required again and again in different programs. So it will be just a waste of time if you write a function in each and every program. So usually the date related subroutines or date related functions are written in a module. So you want to find the difference between two dates, or you want to add some days in a date and so on. Those things will be written in a module. Okay. So this about the April 14 module. There is one more example for April 14 module. The same example from April 14 module, import star and print hello. So what we are doing is passing the function print hello. So print hello will again go over here. There is no argument and it will say that printed from April 14 module, and again just written. So let us execute this. It will say that printed from April 14 module. Okay, any doubts? Let me know in modules or functions.
No doubt, sir.
Okay.